everybody, welcome to WTF Hammer Underworlds. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, maybe even a little bit strange. It's just sort of an intro into the new project that I've been working on, which I'm mostly finished with and which I'll be sharing with the community so you guys could use it in your own home rule set of games if you so choose. And I'm just starting by using this document here to kind of illustrate what it is that I'm doing exactly. And I'm going to use my cursor around here just to sort of point out some main points to make evident exactly what this project is all about. And the gist of it is that I basically wanted to modify all of the warbands that exist today into a format where they could all basically be played out of the box and be relatively balanced. I mean, it's impossible to get everything perfectly balanced, but I did my best. And then to make it just playable for people. When I originally bought this game, I hadn't done a bunch of research on it. And don't get me wrong, I really like this game. I like the deck building aspects of this game. But when I first bought this game, I kind of thought it was more akin to other sort of faction type of games like Chaos in the Old World or Forbidden Stars or something like that, where you basically just grab onto a faction and sort of learn the best way to play that faction. And then in the case of Underworlds, play it in a tactical combat sort of format. And when I got the game, I was a bit disappointed initially, mostly from the deck building because it meant that when I bought this game in order to play with friends of mine, they'd also have to buy all the products at the same cost, and I thought that would be very unmotivating for my friends to do, thus making it unlikely for me to actually play with my friends, only making it playable in tournaments with strangers, which was a bit of a turnoff for me. But basically what I did is I just made it so that each warband could be played out of the box using a set of home rules that I basically put together. And I'll be sharing what all those rules are today in terms of the modifications that I'm making to different warbands. And I'll be sequentially releasing the actual photoshopped cards that could be used progressively as I kind of work through them. I'll probably release a video for each season. I haven't exactly figured out how I'm going to do that yet. But the gist of my balancing is basically as follows. I modified all warbands that they would have 6 surge objective cards and then 6 end phase or scoring the third end phase cards. And I tried to make it so that they were all relatively balanced in terms of the glory points that they could score. I usually had warbands that I thought had weaker fighter cards have more potential for glory to sort of counterbalance that. So like Godscorn Hunt, for example, have a lot of capacity for glory, but many of these glories points are very difficult to achieve, whereas others are easier. So I try my best to make it balanced so that if warbands had few glory points available to them, most of those glory points would be very reliable or reliable to achieve. Also try to keep the warbands true to the lore and to the style that they sort of were initially released as being intended on playing as. But yeah, I mean, this sheet basically summarizes it. So I'll just pull out a random one. So let's look at Steelhearts. So they have 6 Surge cards and 6 Score in the End Phase objective cards. Their 6 Surge can get them 7 glory. Their 6 End Phase can get them 9 glory, meaning that they have 16 glory total in their objective cards, obviously 12 objective cards. 5 of those glory points are very reliable. 4 are reliable. 7, I would say, are unreliable, which means that they're a bit tougher to score. Maybe they rely on killing tough enemies or just pulling off things that aren't guaranteed, maybe based on randomness, for example. And then I even section them off based on the style of play that they promote. So 3.5 of these objective cards promote aggression, 2.5 promote position, etc. So that people who decide they want to play Steelhearts Champions, for example, will get a good sense as to what style of play they might be getting themselves ready to play with. And I also created little tactical guides for each warband that are going to be easy to use so that if new players want to play this game, they can literally just grab any warband they want and then have a little guide to help guide them as to how to play that warband in the most optimal way. And as you see, I did that with all warbands here. I just finished balancing officially Kagra's Ravagers. So I literally have balanced everything. I haven't made all of the Photoshop new cards, but anyway, that's basically the gist of what my project has been looking like. Modifying existing cards so that you'd have 6 Surge and then 6 Score in the third end phase or in the end phase. And then I also went through every single power card of all these warbands and just made sure that they were all useful at the very least. Ones that were overpowered, I nerfed as necessary. But that's stuff that you can look at when you browse specifically through the modifications that I made. And I'm going to provide access to those summary sheets right now, starting with Season 1. So this is basically the Season 1 errata and new faction specific cards. So Steelhearts Champions, I made some fighter card errata. So all the fighters have 2 defense when uninspired. Severin Steelheart has this rally special ability, which you can check out. The objective cards have been modified. So certain cards have been changed as described here. power cards as well. They've been changed as described here. And I also added new faction-specific cards to make sure that all warbands have 12 objective cards and also have 11 gambit and 11 upgrade cards. Now, don't get me wrong. Typically, when I play Warhammer Underworlds, I try to get 10 Gambit, 10 upgrade cards. I feel that that is optimal. But just because cards already exist in Season 1 and Season 2 to give some warbands 11 Gambits, for example, or 11 upgrades, I didn't want to just delete a card completely from their roster. So I just made it so that every warband was given some new cards. So even in Season 3, where they have 12 objectives, 10 upgrade, 10 Gambit, I gave them each an extra upgrade, an extra Gambit, so that they have that 11-11 layout. Anyway, these are the new faction-specific cards that I put together for Steelheart. So Inspiring Parry, Surprising Offense, and Unified Effort, because they actually needed 3 objective cards because they only had 9. And you just kind of scroll through Garruk's Reavers, all the information as to how I changed this warband are posted here. Sepulchral Guard, etc., Iron Skull Boys. And I did this for every single season. Season 2 and Season 3. I haven't done Season 4 yet. I'm only going to release the final product of Season 4 when all Season 4 warbands are released, which will make sense a little bit later on when you actually see the format as to how I'm organizing these things. But I'll just quickly show you Season 2 and Season 3, and I will be making a link to these PDF files available in the description. So make sure to check that out. Lots of cool information here. And I will also be describing these things in more detail in separate videos, which I will figure out the format of on another date. So here are the Season 2 cards. So Stormsire's Cursebreakers. You got Thorns, Zarbag. So Zarbag obviously has lots of modifications here. There's obviously varying degrees of modifications. Some I felt were already pretty balanced and I had minor things to do. Others needed much larger modifications, which would make sense if you watch my review videos and previous balancing videos. So here's Eyes of the Nine, Mollog's Mob, Godsworn Hunt, Ilthari's Guardians, Thundrik's Profiteer. So that does it for Season 2. And Season 3, so there's 10 warbands of this one. You got Iron Soul's Condemners, Lady Harrow's Mournflight, Grashrak's Skates. So you see like Skates and Rippas, for example, have very few modifications because I thought they were pretty solid and pretty good to just play out of the box. Grimwatch, Hrothgorn, Wormspat, Morgox, Morgwaits. And that basically does everything that's going to be currently available. Took me a long time to balance them. It's taking me even longer to build those photoshopped cards, but I'm actually almost done. And like I said, we'll be releasing those so that you can print them out in a convenient manner in the videos to come. One thing to note, though, is that these are clearly not perfectly balanced. I tried my best, but I didn't have the time or the resources to cross-test every single warband against every single warband in 1v1 play. It just wasn't realistic. But I have played this format quite a bit, and I'll say 2 things. In 4-player games, things seem very balanced. So you can take 4 warbands of your choice, split up across 4 players, and play them in that format, and it really does feel balanced. It feels like any warband has an equal shot to win that game at any given point. Because of the chaos of a 4-player game, it really helps to moderate some of the balancing issues, which I realize aren't perfect. In 1v1, I would just recommend playing Warhammer Underworlds as you normally would, with the actual cards, the far lists, and the whole deck building mechanism. So if you're doing 1v1, you might as well just play Warhammer Underworlds as you would. But if you have players who want to play a 4-player match, maybe if they're newbies, you can rip out these home rules and guarantee some fun times, some play that feels balanced, some play that's thematic. And the second point I want to make is that I actually feel that this method of play is even more fun than Warhammer Underworlds. I feel that there's more variety because each warband really feels thematic and really plays differently, and you could come to master the particular approach of any given warband and try to maximize that as you play different games against different warbands. And since there's such a huge variety of warbands, it does create a huge variety of possible outcomes. And you want to have situations where, both players are playing the same cards because there's certain cards that are just stronger in the universal packs that everybody takes. So in that sense, I actually find this game more enjoyable. It doesn't have that issue that Warhammer Underworlds typically has, in which it's not really friendly to new players. I've tried introducing Warhammer Underworlds to new players, and deck building is intimidating. A lot of people don't want to do it. They clearly don't want to invest the money into buying a game and committing to a game just to be able to play with you. So all these issues that Warhammer Underworlds has that makes it difficult for you just to play with your friends and family, this version does not have. You'd have access to all the warbands with all the house rule cards that you can just play out of the box. Less prep time because they can just choose a warband and go. And yeah, just lots of positives. I find this lots of fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I mean, I have been spending a lot of time making those new cards, and like I said, I will be releasing them soon. I hope you enjoy. And that's basically all I want to do in this video. I just wanted to introduce the project. Hopefully, the next couple of days, I'll be releasing the first video on season 1 with all of those photoshopped cards made available to you in an easy printing format. So you guys can just wait on that. And that basically does it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the efforts that I put into this. Hope you guys also browse through all the errata and new faction specific cards that I had created through these different war bands. You know, I'm hoping it sparks conversation because I think balancing is always a difficult thing to do. But I made the best effort to make things as balanced as possible so that people can grab a warband and be effective with it in a way that is thematic to that given warband. So I think it was successful. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you all have a nice day.